They'll feel it. In the awkward pauses when your name comes up, in the silence that follows their forced laughter, in the pit of their stomachs when they realize you no longer react. Not because you're numb, but because you're done. Because you've outgrown the space where they still live. You moved on quietly, and that's what they'll never forget. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Let them believe they've won. Because one day, they'll look around and find that they can't reach you anymore. Not emotionally, not mentally, not spiritually. You've climbed too far beyond their grasp. And you did it without screaming, without explaining, without giving them the satisfaction of a single word. You did it by learning the power of silence, by realizing the loudest, "I'm done," doesn't need to be spoken, it just needs to be felt. And they'll feel it. Every single day, silence is slow. It's quiet, but it's lethal. It doesn't crash in like rage. It creeps in like a shadow and stays. It gives them time to think, and guilt thrives in quiet spaces. When you remove your presence, your energy, your attention, the absence becomes their torture chamber. You're no longer playing the role they assigned you in their narrative. You've left the stage. You've stopped defending yourself. Stopped trying to be heard by people who only listen to twist your truth. You're gone, and that's the real punishment. Not revenge, not arguments, just silence, just peace. And that peace, it burns. Them. They didn't expect you to leave. They expected you to explain, to beg, to keep giving what they never valued. But this time you didn't. This time you chose distance. You chose stillness. And now, in the most random moments, a song, a smell, a quiet night, they'll feel the weight of what they lost. You didn't make a scene. You became a ghost. And that haunts them more than anything else could. Because silence, true silence, forces them to face themselves, and they're not ready for that. You didn't go quiet because you had nothing to say. You went quiet because they no longer deserve to hear it. There's something sacred in that. Something terrifying. Because when you stop reacting, you stop bleeding. You stop handing them the tools to break you. You stop being accessible to the chaos. And in that silence, you become untouchable. They can't provoke what doesn't respond. They can't twist what isn't said. You become unreadable, unpredictable, and that scares them. People know how to fight noise, but they're powerless against silence. Your presence, even in stillness, becomes heavier than any outburst. You walk into a room without saying a word, and the atmosphere shifts, because silence isn't empty. It's full of warnings, of memories, of truths too sharp to speak. And they feel every ounce of it. Because not everyone deserves your voice. Some people are too far gone to hear your truth, too committed to their lies to understand your pain. So you stop trying to explain. You stop giving closure to people who shut the door behind your back. Let your silence be the closure. Let your absence be the answer. Let your peace be the revenge. Because nothing hits harder than indifference. When you stop caring, stop chasing, stop justifying yourself, that's when they break. They knew you were real. They just bet that you'd never walk away. But you did. And you did it without a sound. This silence isn't weakness. It's strength. It's clarity. It's protection. You let go of the need to be understood by those who never cared. You let karma do the talking. You let your peace speak for itself. And in doing so, you became someone they can no longer reach. Someone they no longer recognize. The soft version of you is gone. The one who over-explained, forgave too quickly, stayed too long. In your place now stands someone colder, sharper, more guarded, not out of hate, but out of necessity. The less you respond, the more power you reclaim. And when your energy becomes that protected, people feel it. They sense the boundaries, the wall they can't scale anymore. And if they try, they'll be met with nothing but silence. Not because you don't have something to say, but because they no longer deserve to hear it. You learned that silence is not just an absence of sound. It's a decision. It's a calculated response. It's everything you once tried to explain, now unspoken, now felt. And when you finally realize that the most powerful response is no response at all, everything changes. Your focus sharpens. Your energy elevates. You stop entertaining what doesn't serve you. You stop defending your healing to those who wounded you. And as they unravel, trying to trigger the old version of you, the one who reacted, who chased, who explained, they're met with a void. Because that version of you is gone. Now you walk with purpose. You speak only when it matters. Your silence isn't emptiness. It's the voice of every scar they never saw. Every night you cried alone. Every betrayal you didn't retaliate against. And now, brick by quiet brick, you rebuild. Until one day, your presence becomes the revenge. They'll see you thriving, calm, unreachable, and it'll hit them. You didn't just leave. You evolved, and it was silence that gave you the space to do it. You're not angry. You're not bitter. You're just done. Done explaining. Done defending. Done bleeding for people who mistook your warmth for weakness. You've learned the loudest voices are often the most lost. So now, you move in silence, because silence doesn't lie. It doesn't beg to be heard. It speaks only to those who've earned the right to listen, and you've stopped speaking to those who didn't. You gave your loyalty, your love, your light. They played with it, burned it. So now your silence is colder than anything they've ever known. It makes rooms shift. It makes hearts panic. Not because you're cruel, but because they know. They lost you the moment you stopped responding. You've felt that quiet pain, the kind no one sees, the betrayal behind kind eyes, the fake love in sweet words, and still, you gave chances. You stayed when you should have walked. You tried to fix what you didn't break, but now, you disappear. You go ghost, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect. Because your peace is sacred, your energy is gold, and you're done handing it out to people who only wanted to spend it, not protect it. They'll say you changed. Good. You had to. Because being soft got you scarred. Being open got you betrayed. So now you're steel. Now you're storm and stillness at the same time. Not reactive, but aware. Not cold, but clear. They don't know if you're healing or plotting, finished or just silent before the rise, and that's your power. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them twist your silence into stories to soothe their guilt. Because the truth? They don't miss you. They miss controlling you. And now that they can't, they fear you. Not your wrath, your distance. Not your voice, your absence. And when they finally feel the weight of that void, they'll realize silence wasn't empty. It was loaded. It was you choosing peace over performance, purpose over pettiness. And that's when you win. Quietly, fully, without needing anyone to notice, until it's too late. You've outgrown the noise, the chaos, the need to defend yourself, the urge to be understood by people who were never truly listening. You've learned that those who scream the loudest are often the ones who've already lost. So now, you sit in your silence like it's a throne, wear it like a crown, because you've discovered something vital. When you stop reacting, you stop bleeding. The same vultures that circled when you were vulnerable now find nothing to feed on. They call it cold. Good. Be cold. You were warm once, open, honest, giving, and they burned you for it. Now your silence freezes rooms. Your absence rattles the foundations they thought were unshakable. You felt that pain, the kind that doesn't bruise, doesn't scream, just sits inside you like a loaded gun. The kind that smiles in your face while stabbing you in the back. And still, you stayed loyal. You gave chances. You explained yourself to people who had already made up their minds. But not anymore. Now you let distance speak louder than any words. Now, silence is your weapon. Clean, surgical, leaving no fingerprints. You owe no one a reaction. Not to their lies, not to their guilt-drenched manipulations disguised as concern. You owe yourself peace, progress, growth. You don't see kings arguing with clowns or wolves wasting breath barking at sheep. They build, they hunt, quietly. So do you. That's your power now, strategic silence. And when your name slips into their thoughts, it won't be with laughter or arrogance. It'll be with regret, with fear, with the hollow ache of realizing they lost something irreplaceable. That silence they mocked, it's become your legacy. It's not hate that keeps you quiet. Hate still means they matter. No, this silence is detachment. You're not making a point. You've simply moved on, vanished, because there's nothing left to say. You tried. You screamed in silence. You stayed when they didn't deserve it. But now you rebuild where your energy is honored, where your peace is safe. Because people never hear you when you speak, only when you're gone. Let them choke on the silence they took for granted. Let your absence echo every buried word. Let it haunt them when the noise dies down and the mask slips. They'll remember. They always do. In the silence, in the dark, in the empty spaces where you once stood. Not because you shouted, not because you fought, but because you didn't. Because you evolved, and now they can't reach you. You've become untouchable. They'll spin stories. They'll lie. They'll laugh to hide the emptiness you left, but your silence is the mirror. It reflects exactly what they destroyed, and you keep building, quietly, alone, with purpose. You don't need to prove anything. You already did, by disappearing. Not bitter, just better. They'll say you changed. Damn right you did, because you had to. Silence isn't weakness, it's control. And when you learn to use it, really use it, you don't just walk away, you rise.